What's happening, everybody? It's Sean with Reactions to the Classics, and today we got another Father John Misty reaction, this time to God's Favorite Customer. This for our friend, longtime patron, supporter of the channel, and definite super fan of Father John Misty, Josh. Thank you, Josh. Appreciate you. Appreciate all the patrons who make this thing go. If you'd like to support us in any way, check out the Patreon link below or the patron link on the end screen. This is going to be the last album for Father John Misty that I have not heard, or reacted to. The videos to all the other ones up are going to be in a playlist. You can check out the Father John Misty playlist after this video. So let's jump into this. God's Favorite Customer, or Mr. Tillman's Wild Ride, as it's sometimes known, is the fourth studio album by American musician Josh Tillman, under, of course, the stage name Father John Misty, released on Sub Pop and Bella Union on June 1st, 2018. Before the re-release, he revealed that, quote, most of this next album was written in a 6-week period where I was kind of on the straights while living in a hotel for 2 months. He noted that the album was about misadventure and summarized it as a heartache album, inspired by an event in which his life blew up. He wrote all the tracks. Metacritic 83 out of 100, Pitchfork 8.5 out of 10. He also had a couple other things to say about it. He said, unlike Pure Comedy in 2015's I Love You Honey Bear, this is not a concept album. He described the album in NME as, quote, just 10 tunes, kind of sprightly BPMs. While both of these statements are true, there's certainly common themes across the track. As we talked about before, he wrote much of it in that 2-month period. He was dealing with marital issues and some mental health issues. He was really hitting the substances hard. So this one is going to be an interesting one to dive into. And on that note, the music will not be in the video, but it'll be at a Vimeo link below. So check that out along with me. Let's jump into the opening track. You see it below. We got Hang Out at the Gallows, or You're the Answer. Don't have a lot on a lot of these songs, but we'll be able to figure it out because Josh is a really good songwriter, Josh Tillman. But thank you to Josh, the patron, for bringing this one. Hang Out at the Gallows, really well done instrumentally. Jonathan Radow, who's on a lot of this stuff's on bass and guitar. Josh is on guitar, drums, tambourine. He's putting in the work, got the piano, got that bass synth that gives it that nice sound. So I really like the arrangement. The song itself, a lot of this is going to be speculative because of Josh's state of the mind at the time, right? He talked about doing all kinds of substances, microdosing LSD, being drunk all the time, being suicidal. So that's probably what a lot of this is. Hang Out at the Gallows, right? A clever wordplay, because a gallows, if you don't know what it is, it's where they used to hang people. You hang the rope up from there. So he's hanging out at the gallows. It means he's either thinking about killing himself or, the hang out at the gallows, he's already done it, right? And just that's kind of how this thing unfolds. You kind of feel that almost manic state, but then the life's mundane gets in here, the politics, the course, what's your politics, what's your religion, what's your intake, your reason for it. So he's going through the mundane day-to-day chit-chat, but he's got all this other stuff going on. Thought it was a good opener. Now we'll go to Mr. Tillman, otherwise known as Bowery, the lead single. Song's verses are sung from the point of view of a hotel concierge trying to maintain a pleasant professional attitude while simultaneously trying to demonstrate frustration with and pity towards Mr. Tillman, who at the time was living at the hotel for 2 months following a personal crisis. The alternate title for the song, which is in the liner notes, Bowery, is referring to the Bowery Hotel in New York City. And the song has a little mention of Jason Isbell, who is one of my favorite artists. Jason actually acknowledged the song. He said that the song was based on a real-life encounter in which he ran into Josh Tillman in the hotel lobby. In an interview, Jason said, if you had seen Tillman that day, you would have been worried about him too. I think anybody would have been concerned on that particular day. It was one of those where you don't have to have a whole lot of empathy after you've seen the guy because he did not look good. He looks a lot better now, and I'm happy about that. I think maybe after having a child, you start thinking everybody was somebody's little baby at some point. It changes you, all right? Mr. Tillman, really good song there as well. The lyrics just kind of describe probably his inebriated state at the time. He's coming back to the hotel, and he'd been at this hotel before because they're running down all the stuff kind of that happened last time. And don't leave your mattress in the rain if you sleep on the balcony. You will need a driver out to Philly. Jason Isbell's here as well. And he seemed a little worried about you. And then that chorus, I'm feeling good. Damn, I'm feeling so fine. I'm living on a cloud above an island in my mind. Oh, baby, don't be alarmed. This is just my vibe. No need to walk around. No, it's not too bad a climb. So climbing up to his room rather than walking around. And then he thinks there's verse 2, he's got that little paranoia, right? Mr. Tillman, for the 7th time, we have no knowledge of a film that's being shot outside. Those aren't extras in a movie. They're a clientele. No, they aren't running lines, and they aren't exactly thrilled. So just and then telling perhaps maybe you shouldn't drink alone. It's a really good tune, really good. First two songs are an excellent way to start this album. Now we'll go to the third track, Just Dumb Enough to Try. Just Dumb Enough to Try. A well-written song, as the first three have been. And because each verse starts off with like him, I don't know if you can say bragging, but he knows he can get by. I know a few 10-cent words I can break out to keep up with her, but you can take what I know about love and drown it in the sink. Then he's like, I know my way around a tune. Won't be a single dry eye in the room, but you can take what I know about you and maybe fill a small balloon. And then the chorus, but I'm just dumb enough to try to keep you in my life for a little while longer, and I'm insane enough to think I'm going to get out with my skin and start my life again. So here's an interview, a different interview that he did that kind of falls into this song, but it's about the album. He said most of the next album, this album was written in a 6-week period, was kind of on the straight. So I talked about that at the start. I was living in a hotel for 2 months. It's kind of about, misadventure. The words were just pouring out of me. It's really rooted in something that happened last year that was, my life blew up. I think the music essentially serves a purpose of making the painful and the isolating less painful and less isolating. But in short, it's a heartache album. I think instinctively I understood that if I blew everything up, I could put it back together better than it was. But look, I don't want to talk about what happened. Maybe in 30 years from now, I will. I know that sounds dramatic, but to talk to me about what this album's about, I have to bring other people into the picture who don't want to be. So as we're 3 songs through, I think it sets the stage. Obviously, this is about his decay of his marriage with his wife, Emma, and then where that makes him run down to. But yeah, the first 3 songs on this are just absolutely fantastic. Now, at least title-wise, a little shift. We're going to go to Date Night. Date Night. So this did kind of go off what I am going to say is the theme of the album, even though at times Josh said it didn't have a theme, but then he did. I think the highlight of this song is just the arrangement. I enjoy the arrangement. It's just kind of some braggadocious stuff from FJM talking about kind of the things he can do for this. Girls, I'm the second coming. Oh, I'm the last to know. I didn't get invited, but I know where to go. So, just tell me the different things. I'll get you ice cream. I'll give you, if you give me your card. So it's kind of like a tongue in cheek. Like I'm a kind of a stud, yet I'm really not. So he kind of knows. He always kind of knows how to make fun of himself if you read between the lines. Now we go to a much more serious title here. We'll see what it's about. Please Don't Die. Really nice arrangement to this one to start off with. We got Josh on the harmonica, drums, sleigh bells. We got an accordion. We got a trumpet, bass, piano, guitar, organ. We got everything on this thing. And that's one of the things that FJM does a lot that I don't think people talk about because his lyrics are very thought-provoking, very divisive sometimes, but the arrangement and the music on it is always fantastic and really well done. This gets a lot more serious, right? Where some of the other songs were serious, maybe on Mr. Tillman, it's serious, but it's also describing his delusions, and there's a little bit of humor in there and sarcasm. This one's not sarcastic. He's talking about basically probably wanting to end his life, but the chorus then flips, and it's sung from the standpoint of his wife. Oh, and honey, I'm worried about you. You're too much to lose. You're all that I have, and honey, I'm worried about you. Put yourself in my shoes. You're all that I have, so please don't die wherever you are tonight. And so then he just kind of works through what he's going through and says, he won't try to talk about the morbid as much. So I thought it was really well done. That was a really good piece of songwriting, very mature songwriting on that one. Well, we're halfway done. There's 10 tracks in this one. We got The Palace, or I Love You, But No, You're Not. The Palace refers to Father John Misty's hotel where this album was conceived. He speaks about hiding away in his hotel room and never wanting to go back to the real world. Palace, another well-written, intimate song. This one you just have piano and drums that Josh is playing. Then you also have a cello in there as well, but the instrumentation very dialed back so you can really feel the power of his lyrics. It's only been 3 weeks, and a bag of speed from Jamie, the PhD, comes by the front desk to read my transcript with her edits. FJM is so refined. He actually has a PhD student as a drug dealer, and she also edits his transcript in the course because I don't want to leave the palace. At least that's what my true love calls at the hotel, right? Last night I wrote a poem. Man, I must have been in the poem zone. I'm in over my head. He repeats that a few times. Maybe we'll get a pet, take care of it, but I think it might defeat the purpose of living on housekeeping and room service because he doesn't want to leave the palace. Let's pay someone to move in here and fix this. So is that somebody to move in and fix the house, the palace, or is it his head? A therapist. Last night I texted your iPhone and said, I'm ready to come home. I'm in over my head. I'm in over my head. I'm way in over my head. So he's crying out for help. I'm talking just a really, really well done song and some great songwriting once again. Now we'll go to the 7th track on here. Disappointing Diamonds are the rarest of them all. Disappointing Diamonds are the rarest of all. Of good arrangement, I've noticed that's what he does in the songs that aren't quite so intimate, right? He pumps up the arrangement. Nice Wurlitzer on here, nice synth, nice saxophone. You got a lot of stuff going on in here. This reminds me more of some stuff off of the 2015 I Love You Honeyberry, where he uses these different metaphors, kind of weird metaphors, to describe his love for his wife, Emma. So in this one, he's basically saying, disappointing diamonds are the rarest of them all. This is the chorus, and a love that lasts forever really can't be that special. Sure, we know our roles and how it's supposed to go. Does everybody have to be the greatest story ever told? Talking about how movies and TV shows, they give this unrealistic vision of romance, right? Romance at first is great, right? But then it kind of gets into the mundane. My wife and I have been together for 28 years. I'm not saying it's boring, but like it's not going to be all exciting all the time. And so people who have that vision of a relationship or a marriage, that they get into it and go, well, man, I don't know, man. Where's the excitement? Where's this or that? You're not perfect for me. I think it's time to go. So actually a really well put together song ideologically, I think. Now we get to the title track, God's Favorite Customer. A little background on FJM. He was raised in a very religious household in Maryland. His parents were evangelicals. He attended a private Pentecostal school where he was once sent home to prepare for the apocalypse. Now, look, I'm a Christian, and so a lot of stuff that FJM does or says, I'm not down for, man, and I'll call that out. But when you grow up in a religious upbringing like this, a quote religious, so many people grow up in these upbringings where they then turn away from religion. Like, that's not religion, man. That's just lunacy, sent home to prepare for the apocalypse. Before deciding to pursue music, he briefly wanted to be a pastor. In this period of his life, he tried hard to obey the precepts of his religion and could have called himself God's favorite customer. However, he later left with that path completely and has done many things in the public eye that his previous religion would not approve of. As he said in a Facebook Live video in April of 2017, I wanted to be a youth pastor for like 5 minutes. Then I remembered that I hate children and don't believe in God. And you also have Wise Blood, Natalie Marion, on here as the female vocalist. She was the opening act for FJM in September and October of 2017 and is also on Sub Pop Records. So let's check out the title track. God's Favorite Customer is a really well done song. It starts out, he's kind of stumbling around drunk a little bit from his hotel. Then the chorus, speak to me, won't you speak? Sweet angel, don't you remember? I was God's favorite customer. So referring to himself in his previous devotion to God, right? And wanting some help there. The sweet angel is probably his wife, Emma. And beware the man who has everything. That's what verse 2 starts with. Everything that he wants, you can spot him from a mile away. And his gold chain and only one pair of socks. I'm out here testing the maximum. That's all good things have to stop. The bar closes at 5, but the big man is just opening shop. And then that speak to me, oh, speak to me. And that's where Way's Blood comes in there and just adds a nice little thing here that, you don't get on a lot of FJM. It's just FJM. So I liked him bringing her in. Also, just since so much of it's written to Emma or about Emma, it's good to have a female voice in there. 2 songs left. Now we're up to the songwriter. In this song, he speaks to his wife, Emma, about a hypothetical scenario where she is a musician and Father John Misty is the muse. He uses this viewpoint in a reflective manner, asking her if she would be truthful to the source material or would she exaggerate the unfavorable details of her life with Josh to make them more palatable to the masses. FJM uses this device to express guilt about using his muse and life partner to fuel his most prolific work by, quote, undressing her repeatedly in public to the masses. He feels that by discussing their personal relationship, he does not respect her privacy and does her a disservice in writing songs about her. I never really thought about that. The other person that you're writing songs about, how do they feel about it? Dylan, Sarah, for example, how do they feel about it? The songwriter, very cleverly written song. And just what I talked about, it flips the script, right? Chorus, goodbye, little songbird, I can leave. Goodbye, my love. Is there anything else you need? What would it sound like if you were the songwriter and you did your living around me? Would you undress me repeatedly in public to show how very noble and naked you can be? So what would it sound like if you were the songwriter of the outro and Loving Me was your unsung masterpiece? Once again, dial back the arrangement because the lyricism is so strong. You just hear FJM's voice in there. So really good offering there. And now to the final track. We're only people, in parentheses, and there's not much anyone can do about that. We're only people, and there's not much anyone can do about that. Kind of with the theme of the album, you had a little more arrangement in this, a little more instrumentation because the song wasn't to Emma directly. This is pondering death, basically, right? And talking about the people who are gone, and he thinks of them often and highly of them. But I don't know if this is literal death at times or figuratively as he's dying to himself with all the issues that he is going through. But, the chorus, oh, friends, all my friends, oh, I hope you're somewhere smiling. Just know I think about you more kindly than you and I have ever been. And I'll see you the next time around the bend. So a good way to finish the album. Now I'll get to my favorite tracks. They're all on the front end, but I think the back end of this album is good as well. But I got the honorable mentions. I got Please Don't Die, and faves, I got Hang Out at the Gallows, the first track. Mr. Tillman, Just Dumb Enough to Try, and The Palace. Just fantastic songwriting, all of these. Now we're going to get to my overall score. A very, very good album. The lyricism, as raw as FJM is on this, he's a very smart guy. I talked about this before. And instead of using that intelligence this time for the sarcasm and wit, he used it more and just kind of poured his heart out to him and was very transparent. So I super enjoyed that. I'm going to be at a sky-high 8.5 out of this album. It's just really, really good. Every part about it's good. He sounds great. The songwriting's top-notch. The arrangement is perfectly done. So let me know what you think of this album. What's your favorite FJM album? Show that to me below. I'm going to be doing an FJM album ranking next month. So give me what you think below and your favorite tracks on this one. Thanks again to Josh and everybody watching. Until next time, I will see you.